Okay. Just got finished watching Fantastic Four. Obviously, I'm not in my place. Did a little vacation. I must say, this was a good movie. I was expecting mediocre, honestly. Going into it, maybe two and a half out of 5. Going into it, especially hearing the rumors that they were coming out with Pedro Pascal being everywhere and the politics of him being everywhere. There's a couple of things that kind of, made me worry about that. And I tried to go in with an open mind like I usually do when I go see movies, and I guess I did. And I guess this worked, because I'll say wow. Now, I'm not saying wow as in like it's the best thing ever, but I will say wow. Okay, they did good with this movie. Of course, there's a couple of things I had issues with. And I'll start off by saying that the acting was good. The CGI was great, especially on Galactus. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I, at first, did not like how they kind of made him look like his body, I should say. Kind of made his body look like a transformer, doing the moving and all that, and having him hooked up as if like that was feeding him power. But it grew on me, especially the scenes where they showed it and showing him disconnect and getting up like he was a grand master of whatever he was doing. I was like, okay, this is badass. So seeing that, Silver Surfer, Shia LaBeouf, was not as bad as I thought it was gonna be, but I don't know, it's just something about it that made it feel different than what Silver Surfer is. Just slightly. It was just like, I don't know, it might have just been the emotional part that she had for me. Of course, it's gonna be different than Norn Rad, so I'm not like upset about that or anything. It was just something small that was a part of that kind of made me look at it a little weird. It was just like, okay. But nothing bad about any of the performances at all. I'll say that. The story made sense. They didn't just start you off with, yeah, we're here like 6 years down the line of where they're at. They gave you a brief introduction, like how they got their powers, what they did during that time, and of course after that time where we're at the movie and during the time. So I give them props for that, because there's other movies like that recently came out that just said, yeah, we don't want to do that. We want to just start off wherever we want to start off. So props to them for that. It worked. What else? So I'll address that rumor about Ben and Reed. Not true. I was pretty sure it wouldn't be true, but it was definitely not true. So thank you for that. There was another one that was about Sue being the leader. And I think I'll have a different take on a lot of other reviews for this. I think there were 2 leaders. I think it was her, and I also think it was Reed. And I'll explain why. I think Reed was the primary leader in terms of who's making these plans, and also the perspective of who's leading the media. I think it was him. But whenever it came to a kind of emotional, even when I don't want to say too much, but there was an emotional part in the story where she was out in front of a lot of people, and she was the one giving the speech, and he was in the background. And she basically changed a lot of people's perspective on something and brought them respect. So I think that she was a leader in that way, and he was a leader for like the media and plans type. So I think that they did a good job with that. I didn't have any issues with that. They had a couple little things sprinkled in there, if you know what I'm talking about, but it was nothing that overtook the movie. It was kind of in the background, like it should be, something underlying. And another thing they did that they changed was Ben, because Ben to me, and I think to a lot of people, is a little bit more gritty, gruff. Like he's soft, but he's not as soft as he is in this movie. But there was nothing wrong with how they portrayed it in this movie. So I will definitely say it's not a bad thing of what they did with him. Johnny, of course, he's still somewhat Johnny, but he wasn't as much of a ladies' man as they made him, as he's supposed to be. He was more of a ladies' man for a specific character that we all pretty much know at this point. He wasn't really doing anything with any other woman. So that was something for me that was a little different. That was not a little, that was actually a difference. And I kind of don't agree with that. I think he should have been pursuing everybody, because nobody was good for him or nobody was who he wanted until her. I think that's what they should have done. I think that would have been the better play for his character. Oh, and Ben, his girlfriend, even though he doesn't really have one, technically, they were kind of, showing signs. And I honestly thought that, and maybe this is just my perspective of the original Fantastic Four movie, I thought she also had a disability. But yeah, I won't say too much about that. I'll let y'all, get to that point. But I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. It is more than above average entertainment to me. It didn't have a lot of fighting in it, but it was still very entertaining. And it's not often you get that with a superhero movie. It's just like a couple fights, but the story and the drama and everything that's going on in it keeps you entertaining, keeps you wanting to watch the movie. That doesn't happen, especially nowadays. It happens, but it doesn't happen as much as it used to, and definitely not right now. So the fact that was a thing for me definitely makes me give it a 3.5 out of 5. And I was honestly thinking about giving it a 3.75 out of 5. Yeah, it was a good movie, and I low key gave it a couple claps at the end. I was very pleased with this movie. Another thing, the mid-credit scene, I definitely had a grin on my face seeing what I saw. I'm not going to say what I saw. That's something I'm not going to reveal for everybody. At least not in this video. If I decide to make another video, I probably gave it away, but it was still a really good scene. The last credits to the post, I guess you said a post credit scene, was nothing. Just walk out after the first one. It was nothing at all. So don't even waste your time. For the people that want to not be spoiled, I'm gonna go ahead and say thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. The people that want to stay for a spoiler, aka the bad reasons, the bad things with this movie, to me, here we go. Everybody else, I'll give you 5 seconds to go. Okay, so the bad things with this movie, main thing to me, just based off my memory alone, Galactus was shot really well. The voice acting for him was good, but there were times where it cracked to me. I don't know if they just did something different, shooting a different scene, and they came back and they just didn't match the voice correctly. But it was something that I noticed while I was watching, is that his voice changed. Now, that's not anything big, but with his voice changing and him not changing, that was a big thing for me. So I remember Galactus's powers being cosmic. He mentions cosmic in this movie. He looks like he stays the same size throughout the entire movie. And I was very confused about that, because he literally can change size to whatever he wants to be. He didn't do it once. I was expecting him to go down to the size, not their size, but coming out the size of skyscrapers, and then not changing at all. I was a little disappointed with that, because seeing him shift mid-fight or mid doing what he needed to do, he didn't even want to bother fighting them most of the time. I was like, he did one thing. He did two things. One thing was cool, and it was when he threw Ben out. I was like, okay, that was pretty cool. I was like, I enjoyed that. But he didn't use almost any of his powers except for the scan. And I'm like, you can easily get rid of these four and then go get the baby if you wanted to. You literally have reality warping powers. You can warp them out of reality and go get the baby. Why not? Obviously, it's a movie. They don't want to get rid of Fantastic Four by that, but I was like, okay, sure. Another thing, I know Sue is strong, but I didn't think she would be strong enough to do what she did to Galactus. That was something that threw me completely off. I was like, so if she's that strong, but she has to use up her life energy, is her life energy close to cosmic? Because if it is, okay, sure, but I don't know how that happened or why it happened, but it made sense for the story. Another thing that didn't make sense with Galactus, the plot of how they got rid of him. He literally has the ability to transport to anywhere in any universe. What does sending him a million light years away, that would do nothing to him? He would get there and be like, oh, okay, well, let me go back. That's literally all he would have to do. So I didn't understand that, but I know it matched up with the movie, so I wasn't like too harsh on it, but I was kind of like, that doesn't make sense. He can come back like within a second if he wanted to. So yeah, and then of course him getting there was pretty cool. And you know, I like the sacrificial part that she did, Shalabal. Another thing that I didn't like, it was another small thing, is Johnny's eyes. When he transformed, they gave him a ring in his eye. Excuse me. And it just didn't look right to me. Because he normally wouldn't have that. Normally wouldn't be like that. That was just something that was small to me. I was like, why is his eyes like that? I was like, I don't like that. But I already explained what I didn't like about Ben. Him not being as gritty as he normally is. What else was it? The baby. So the CGI, sometimes you can tell it went from a real baby to CGI or CGI-ish, where they put some on him. And not to say it was like, again, a major thing. It was just something that was like, okay, I shouldn't notice this as much as I notice it, but I do. That's something that I figured they would have cleaned up possibly while doing the edits, but I guess they didn't, or they just didn't have enough time or didn't care, or maybe they didn't see it. I'm assuming they would see it, but yeah, it was just something small, so it wasn't anything, you know, damning to the movie. But yeah. Another thing that I did not like is they kind of went a different direction from what we were initially thinking they were going to do at the end. Because obviously, we all saw Thunderbolts. We all saw them come from their multiverse. I was thinking that they would have at least gave us a hint of what led to that. Because at the end, of course, they say the next time you're going to see them is in Endgame. I mean, not Endgame. Doomsday. Avengers Doomsday. So that basically tells us we're not going to see anything about them until then. And I don't think they're going to give us much of why that happened at the end of Thunderbolts in Doomsday, because of course at the end you see Doomsday, but you don't see him. You just see him holding the helmet like this, looking at Franklin, like, and then Franklin's like, ooh, like he's about to touch him, and it just. I'm hoping that they do it, but it just left a lot more questions from what we saw at the end of Thunderbolts to not have anything translated into this movie, at least at the end. So that was something that changed for me. That kind of left me a little bit more thinking of a question than just, okay, sure, we know what's coming. But it was that, and another thing well, I guess I'll say the last thing because it wasn't too much, but the reason why it didn't get like a 4 for me was obviously those, but the last thing would be because just certain aspects of Reed, they weren't 100% Reed Richards. And now obviously nothing's going to be 100%, but they weren't 80% either. They were maybe 65% Reed. And not to say Pascal didn't do a good job, because I think all of the actors did a good job portraying them. It was just something about that character that just, it was kind of dry. It just seemed a little bit I don't want to say underperforming, but underwhelming, I guess. Like, I remember watching the original Fantastic Four and seeing Reed, and I was like, okay, this is good. This is really good. He has every aspect about him basically locked down. It wasn't like that for this one. And no, I don't hate Pedro Pascal. Yes, I do think he was doing some weird stuff during these press tour, but it's nothing like that. I do think he is also showing up in way too much stuff. But I don't hate him. I don't dislike him as like a person playing in movies. So it was just something about it that just seemed a little bit underwhelming or dry. And it didn't really, I won't say it affected the movie drastically. It's just something for me that was like, okay. But overall, I'm probably going to bump it to 3.75 out of 5. I think I'm gonna stick with that. I think I'm gonna keep it there because I was thoroughly enjoyed with this movie, and it's the best thing Marvel's done probably for a while. Honestly, I'm gonna say for a while. They have some things that they have to keep track on because one movie is not going to change the majority of fans. It's not going to change what I've thought of them over the past couple of years. They got a lot of work to do still. Hopefully they do it and do it immediately because I would like to see quality movies like we used to. So, yeah, Hopefully, I think I got everything. Oh, last thing. It's not good or bad. Well, it's not bad, but I can't remember his name. The dude that plays Mole Man, he was hilarious. Every chance he got, it was just okay. He definitely played his role perfectly. The jabs he threw at Reed, the jab he threw at Johnny about being dressed, not dressing him, hilarious. I enjoy that because they didn't do too much humor within every 5-10 minutes, not even 15 minutes. It was like a joke that actually made me like chuckle, and then it was just pure story for like 20, 25, 30 minutes, and then another joke would come in about clobbering time, and it was like, okay, it's funny, and then another 20, 30 minutes of just like, you know, actual story, actual fighting, something. And then of course there were times where it'd be a joke and then scene, and then joke, but it wasn't anything cringy or anything bad. It wasn't. It was actually good joke. Every joke or every little jab that they would throw at each other or somebody would throw at them was actually good and actually had some type of laughter to it, not the fake laughter that you would hear during some of those jokes during like Superman. I mean, that was like forced. It wasn't anything like that. It was actually genuinely authentic laugh or chuckles in the theater, and the chuckles came from me and a couple other people. So I definitely think that this is a movie that a lot of people will say might be the best Marvel movie so far this year. I wouldn't argue it. I think it might be. I have to look at what other movies are coming out because I can't think off the top of my head right now. But yeah, 3.75 out of 5 for me. Good job, Marvel. Please keep it up. We want to see more great entertainment without anything else in it. Please keep it up. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next review. Peace.